Border Hotel, which is about 70 clicks north of Kimberley of alluvial diamonds fame. And the reason I'm here is because I came down from Botswana yesterday, over the border, crossed over some beautiful countryside. Don't worry about all my motorcycle gear in this lovely room. Everything was outside on the balcony last night, sort of drying off. But anyway, I rode across these beautiful, well, I suppose you would call it the Karoo, the Great Karoo or something like that. And then came into this farming area where a lot of the farms are growing pecan nuts. And in the distance, or as I approached here, the sky was turned black, and I was watching the development of several cumulus nimbus cells. And it got darker and darker. Then it started to rain, thunder, lightning, hail. And so I pulled in to think, because it's pretty dangerous actually, not least getting struck by lightning or just these slippery roads and there's mud everywhere. So I pulled in to have a cup of coffee at this hotel, and then I thought, I'll just find somewhere to stay. So I went on to booking.com, and this hotel was very reasonably priced, and given I'm a Super Genius member on booking, I got it at a really, really good price. I think it was about 350 Hong Kong dollars, which isn't bad for this place. And so I booked it, and they gave me this really lovely room. It really is rather nice. There's some fantastic touches. It has a carafe of sherry. I resisted the urge to drink it all down. Very nice bar, very nice restaurant, excellent food. But the highlight of this place was that it has a gentleman's room. It's rather like one of those London gentlemen's clubs, but on a small size with, leather sofa and wall-to-wall books. And I really thought it was good. This hotel is built in the late 19th century, sort of, towards the era of the Boer War. So I did feel rather like a German wandering around Windsor Castle a little bit. There was a lot of Afrikaans history and, and books up on the bookshelf. There were also a lot of, I should say, sort of arty-farty, aesthetic books, South African jurisprudence and all that kind of stuff, just to fill up the space. Books which are probably never opened. But anyway, I looked around and I found the entire works of Shakespeare. And before anyone thinks I'm being rather highbrow and arty-farty, I do enjoy reading. And it was that sort of, I was in the time and the place, and listen, I'm fed up with the internet. I'm fed up with what's going on in the world. I don't want to watch anything on television. And so, I am vaguely aware through my comprehensive school education that, I think we were at King Lear and Romeo and Juliet, some of the Henrys, some of the Richards, and some of the others. But my favourite play is Henry V. In peace, nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ear, imitate the actions of the tiger, stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, and disguise fair nature with hard favoured rage. Pretty good stuff in it. Anyway, I read the entire play while sipping various beverages, and I was just taken aback. This is the first time I've read it for enjoyment, slowly, and absorbed all the words. And there are things in it which I never realized before. These little phrases we have, like, vacuous objects make the
the most noise. That comes from Henry V, all those kind of things. Anyway, what I enjoyed was, well, what I thought was interesting was the parallels with then and now. And I appreciate that Shakespeare probably didn't know all the details about the Battle of Agincourt, the historical details of what happened when. That little, rousing speech that King Henry gave was in Act 3 or something, quite further forward in the play than I thought. I thought he sort of sat on his horse and just before going into battle and waved his sword. So there's a movie called King that I quite enjoyed. But anyway, there are 3 characters in there: Ely, Cambridge, and Scroop, who are treacherous bastards who sold the king out, or tried to sell the king out to the French for some gold, and they get summarily executed for their treachery. And I was thinking, that's what's happening now, worldwide, European-wide, America-wide, and particularly in Britain. Absolute traitors in our midst. Ely is the Labour Party, or the political parties. Cambridge is all the things beginning with W, WEF, WHO, and Scroop is the press, the Scroop. And they are the treacherous ones, and they all need to go. And unfortunately, the only thing, to sort of clear the decks is war. And I think war's coming. I think there'll be civil war in Europe. I've said this before. I'm convinced of it. Not only did I have that certain experience 18 years ago in the Namib Desert, premonition, message, whatever, but it's history teaches us that, when we get to this boiling point of conflict, no one in the UK is happy. Very few people. Everyone is upset. And the only way to clear the decks is war. And I think there will be civil war. And I think that Henry going into France to settle it all. And of course, France ended up being France, and England ended up being England, despite all these battles and battles later in Napoleonic battles and so forth. But I think war, as unpleasant and evil and brutal and horrific as it is the only way we primates, we self-important primates, settle things. I find it incredible that this was written so long ago in Elizabethan times. And it's so well written. I think it's only now that I can appreciate it. I certainly didn't appreciate it in my youth, although I read bits of it. I found it difficult to read. Didn't have the vocabulary, and didn't have the background knowledge to appreciate, the nuances of the relationships between the characters. And then I had 30, 40 years of career where you just don't have the time. And I think I'm going to do a lot more reading, go through. I don't like the soppy plays, but I will go through them. So I think I will plough my way through, as I'm doing through some of the other classics at the moment. Sounds very highbrow, and I know that it must come off as very poncy to a lot of people, but I don't think I'm a very poncy person, very practical. There's that kind of thing, thinking about things and being philosophical about things. It is a sort of the flip side of my charging around on a motorbike, enjoying seeing the world, experiencing things, pushing myself to the limit physically and mentally. Cogitations from the middle of South Africa in a beautiful, beautiful setting. It's funny how settings change your mood, isn't it? One minute I'm in a tent in the bush surrounded by animals, and the next minute I'm in a very period hotel. So now I've got to move on. I've got to get going, pack up, which I always find annoyingly bothersome, and get going. I have no idea where I'm going today. I think I'm going to visit Orania. Orania is a whites-only community, Afrikaner, I should say, not white. I suppose you could call me white, although I insist I don't like being referred to by a colour. I'm English. If you want to refer to my colour, light pink with red spots on my arse would be a more accurate description. And on all that highbrow stuff, let's have a look at my boots. Yuck. 再见.